Hello, good morning. This is Sarah, the Awareness Mentor, and we're still on our mini series about boundaries. Today I'm going to talk about intellectual boundaries, emotional boundaries, and physical boundaries, because these are 3 levels. There's also spiritual, but we'll just talk about these 3 today. So, intellectual boundaries. What are you comfortable with? It's all about, we can be open to knowing new things, getting to know everything, but there's also a point where we're comfortable with something. So if the information is a bit hard or heavy, or, how is it going to make us feel in the moment? If we're a person that suffers from anxiety, certain types of knowledge can trigger our nervousness. So how are we going to deal with it? It's good to know, to be very aware of yourself on how you can, what subjects you can talk about, what you're going to be able to deal with, what makes you feel comfortable and what doesn't make you feel comfortable. And boundaries really are all about that. It's what you're comfortable with in any given moment, and we can always change, because later on in life or in a few months or whatever, you could be more comfortable with a certain subject or something that people are talking about. So, it's in all areas. Always a good idea to know how you're feeling, what effect certain types of knowledge are having on you. So, it's down a lot to our thinking and how we deal with things. If we catastrophize information and whatever, if we are tendentially like that, then we're going through a healing process, then it's a good idea, for instance, to cut out the news. If it's always bad news and you're finding it hard to deal with it, then make that limit. This is your boundary. At the moment, I'm not watching the news. I'm not watching anything that's going to create this sense of anxiety. And obviously we have to get to the bottom of what our anxieties are and deal with them. But these are boundaries that we can have. And also with people, conversational boundaries, communication, which is also intellectual. I've had a situation where somebody was talking about that I was trying to have a conversation with my son, and somebody just came and started giving me all this information of stuff that I know my son wasn't comfortable with. And so what did I do? I just asked him very kindly, please, I don't want to talk about this in this moment. So putting down a boundary, if you feel comfortable talking to this person in another moment about something that isn't making somebody else uncomfortable. So it's also being socially aware within things. Emotional boundaries, well, that's anything that's going to make you feel uncomfortable emotionally. So, I could put a boundary with people of asking them, because I've had a need. I felt very uncomfortable this weekend for a lack of information and a lack of communication, and it actually made me, well, not made me, I was because here we have to take responsibility for our own emotions, very deeply concerned, let's say. And again, here we can put a boundary, and here it's communication. That's all that's needed. This is how I'm feeling. In the non-violent communication, it's how what I'm observing, how I'm feeling, and my need. So we're expressing a boundary again. That's what non-violent communication is. And it's just a way of us all getting to know each other's boundaries, each other's limits, each other's comfort, and it's being more empathetic generally to ourselves, but also to other people. We have to consider the people around us. Whatever we do has a ripple effect, whether we like it or not. Some people seem to think, oh, I'm just getting drunk by myself. No, but you're drunkenness, your behaviour, your everything you do has a ripple effect on other people. It just does. You know, the people around you we're role models for other people. We are role models for children. So let's be responsible. So emotionally, you know, what, where and how much a person shares and how we can handle it and what emotional needs are. So, you know, is the other person comfortable with what I'm saying to them? Am I comfortable with this situation? It's always an awareness. We're becoming more and more aware of ourselves, but it's not all about us. We have a social responsibility as well. And then physical, you know, physical and sexual. What are we comfortable with? It's like people touching us, people invading our privacy. Do we have the ability to say no? You know, I know a lot of girls in certain situations, they do it anyway, even though they didn't really feel like they wanted to. So there you're not putting up a boundary, you're not saying no, you know, and then you're allowing somebody to come into your space. So also asking for space, it's really important. It's important that people know where we are and how far we're willing to go with things. You know, we're all responsible, adult, mutual consent. We won't go into anything else at the moment. But, you know, it's what am I comfortable with? How am I expressing that? Do I want to do this? Am I going to say, no, I don't want to do this. I'm not comfortable with it. How comfortable are we at expressing our needs? And I know I'm guilty of this. I've done it. You know, I can honestly say, I have done it, you know, and then you have a kind of a sense of regret. When you do things that really you don't want to do, you do have that feeling of regret. You feel like you violated yourself. And then you have to live with that. You know, those violations can also be kept in your body, you know, within you. And these are all our little layers and our little traumas that we create for ourselves. And it's simply because we didn't have the courage to speak up. You know, we didn't have the courage to say what we wanted at the time. We didn't have the courage to just say, no, I don't want to, you know. And that's often difficult because then you're dealing with other people's reactions. But you don't have to feel guilty. You are within your right to say no if you don't want to, for anything. Because if you don't feel comfortable with it, you say no. And that's it. Simple. No. Balanced. No. You even smile after it. But it means no. So, you know, it's getting comfortable. First of all, with that no, you know, for yourself to hear it, the vibration of no, you know, to get comfortable. It's sticking up for yourself. It's saying no. And because I think it's bred into us over a long time, because as children, it's really difficult to say no. They can say no, and they do say no. But when they've been modelled into, you do as you're told, and you do this, and I said this, and the teacher says this, and mum says this, and dad says this, eventually they grow up thinking they haven't got a voice and they can't say no. And, you know, I think we all a little bit have this problem of actually saying no to people. We're yes sayers, and it's fantastic. It's amazing to be able to say yes. You know, this is like another boundary. Once you're balanced and within yourself, and you know what you want, and you know what you want to do, then you can be a total yes person. You can be of service to others, but you're doing it from a balanced place. You're not doing it from a place of, you know, oh, I didn't really want to do that. And doubting yourself, doubting, no, you're doing it from a balanced place of, yes, I want to do that. I want to do it, and I'm happy to do it. So this is the importance of learning the boundaries. It's not permanent, because once we've learnt our boundaries, once we've learnt to say no for ourselves, once we've learnt to stick up for ourselves, we have that new grown confidence that we're coming from a solid foundation of knowing what we want and what we don't want, you know. This is it. We can help people. We don't have to help everybody. If you've helped just one person in the world, you've already done your job. So, you know, let's start getting used to these boundaries, putting in boundaries, especially if you're a people pleaser, okay? I'm Sarah, the Awareness Mentor. Please subscribe and come and join the Growth Hub. You can learn a lot about yourself in there.